What if a man left for a hunting trip and simply vanished, leaving no trace, no clue, no goodbye? What if his truck, the last piece of him, reappeared years later with someone else behind the wheel? Hey, don't forget to like, please subscribe for more shocking crime stories and hit the bell icon. The darkest truth are yet to come. Picture a crisp October morning in 2012 in the quiet rural heart of Susquehanna County, Pennsylvania. The air is sharp, the leaves are turning, and 42-year-old Clarence Biddle is up before dawn. He's a journeyman electrician, a steady man, with calloused hands and nearly 2 decades of fixing power plants under his belt. That morning, October 12th, he kisses his wife, Reba, goodbye, loads his hunting gear into his silver 1999 Ford F-150, and heads north to the Poconos for a solo weekend in the wilderness. It's a ritual he's followed since his 20s. Early fall, just him in the woods. Reba watches him lock the backyard shed, climb into his truck, and drive off into the pre-dawn haze. That's the last time anyone sees Clarence Biddle alive. Clarence isn't the kind of man to disappear. He's reliable, the guy who shows up early and stays late. He and Reba live in a modest home in Montrose, a small community where everyone knows your name. They've been married for years, no kids, just a quiet life. But lately, things haven't been easy. Clarence has been stressed, Reba later tells police. His latest contract at the Montour power plant ended with layoffs, and the uncertainty's been weighing on him. Still, a weekend in the woods is his escape, his way to clear his head. He tells Reba he'll be back by Sunday evening, October 14th. When Monday morning rolls around and there's no sign of him, no call, no text, nothing, she starts to worry. Reba calls the Susquehanna County Sheriff's Office to report Clarence missing. She's calm but insistent, telling deputies her husband was supposed to be camping near a state-managed game reserve close to Waymart, a rugged wooded area with spotty cell service and few rangers. The police take it seriously. Wilderness disappearances aren't uncommon in the Poconos. They launch a search, pulling in teams from multiple counties, volunteer groups, even cadaver dogs. Helicopters buzz over the forest canopy, scanning for any sign of Clarence or his truck. Days pass, then weeks. Nothing. No footprints, no gear, no trace of that silver Ford F-150. It's as if Clarence and his truck have been swallowed by the earth. The investigation hits a wall early. A forest ranger, Thomas Ellerly, checks the game reserve's logbook, a handwritten record where hunters note their vehicle details. Clarence's name and license plate are nowhere to be found. Wildlife cameras along the trails and fire roads show no sign of his truck or him. His phone is dead, his credit cards untouched. Reba tells police he didn't take much cash, maybe enough for gas and a few supplies. The deputies start to wonder, did Clarence get lost? Did he have an accident in the woods, or did something else happen? 3 weeks after Clarence vanishes, a letter arrives at the Biddle home, postmarked from Buffalo, New York. It's short, scrawled in handwriting Reba swears is Clarence's. "I'm gone. I need peace. Don't look for me," it reads. No signature, no explanation. Reba hands it over to the police, shaken but certain it's her husband's words. The letter changes everything. By December 2012, the case is reclassified as a voluntary departure. The searches stop. Clarence's missing person file stays open, but it's effectively shelved. To the authorities, it seems like a man who walked away from his life, leaving his wife and his troubles behind. But not everyone buys it. Clarence's younger sister, Lisa, a nurse in Scranton, can't accept that her brother would vanish without a word. She knows Clarence, steady, responsible, not the type to ghost his family. She calls the sheriff's office regularly, pushing for answers, but gets nowhere. Meanwhile, Reba's life starts to shift. In March 2013, 6 months after Clarence disappears, she packs up their Montrose home and moves 40 miles south to Wilkes-Barre. She takes a new job at the Luzerne County Housing Authority, sells the house, and leases a small apartment. Neighbors from Montrose later say Reba had grown distant, avoiding small talk, barely making eye contact. Then, in April, she files a claim on Clarence's $60,000 life insurance policy. The policy has a clause allowing payout after 180 days of verified absence. The insurer approves it, and Reba uses the money to clear debts and bank the rest. By 2014, Reba's moving on in other ways. She starts seeing Randall Farrow, a local man with a spotty past, some trespassing and property damage charges, nothing major. Randall's a contractor who picks up odd jobs, often under the table. He moves into Reba's apartment by 2015, and soon he's listed as her emergency contact. Reba even starts using her maiden name, Holtz, in casual settings, though she never legally changes it or files for divorce. At work, she's efficient but private, rarely mentioning Clarence except to say he's gone. To the outside world, it looks like Reba's rebuilding her life after a tragedy. But Lisa, Clarence's sister, isn't convinced. She keeps digging, haunted by the feeling that something's wrong. Back in Montrose, Clarence's life is fading from view. His social security number shows no activity. His bank accounts are dormant. His union membership with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers lapses. By May 2013, his profile is removed from the National Crime Information Center's Missing Persons Registry. No media picks up the story, no vigils, no headlines. In a small town like Montrose, Clarence's disappearance becomes a quiet mystery, a story people whisper about but never solve. Years pass. 2013, 2014, 2015. The case goes cold, untouched by police or press. Clarence Biddle, it seems, is gone, for good. But then in May 2020, something happens that cracks the case wide open. Over 200 miles from Montrose in western New York, a routine traffic stop changes everything. A New York State trooper pulls over a gray Ford F-150 on Interstate 86 near Jamestown, clocking expired Pennsylvania plates. The driver, a man in his early 50s, says his name is Daniel Marks, but can't produce ID. His story doesn't add up, and when the trooper runs the vehicle's VIN, it comes back registered to Clarence Biddle, a missing person from 2012. The truck, the same silver 1999 Ford F-150 Clarence was last seen driving, is now in the hands of a stranger. Who is this man? And where has Clarence's truck been for 8 years? The driver's silence only deepens the mystery. He's arrested for suspected vehicle theft and false identification, and the truck is impounded for forensic analysis. As investigators dig deeper, they uncover a web of lies that stretches back to that October morning in 2012. The man behind the wheel isn't Daniel Marks. His real name is Randall Farrow, Reba's partner. And the truck? It's not just a vehicle. It's the key to unraveling one of Pennsylvania's most chilling cold cases. What happened to Clarence Biddle? Did he really walk away, as that letter claimed? Or is there something darker at play, something that Reba and Randall have been hiding all these years? The answers are out there, buried in the details, waiting to be uncovered. And as the police close in, the truth starts to emerge, piece by haunting piece. How do you live with a secret that could destroy everything? What does it feel like to know the man you loved might never come home, and someone else might know why? We're back in May 2020, on a quiet stretch of Interstate 86 near Jamestown, New York. A gray Ford F-150, its paint chipped and plates expired, sits on the side of the road surrounded by flashing police lights. The driver, a man calling himself Daniel Marks, has just been arrested. But he's not who he says he is. He's Randall Farrow, a name that means nothing to the New York State troopers yet. But when they run the truck's VIN, it lights up. A missing persons case from 2012. Clarence Biddle, the electrician who vanished on a hunting trip in Pennsylvania. This truck, repainted but unmistakable, is the same silver 1999 Ford F-150 Clarence was last seen driving. 8 years have passed, and now, the first real clue in this cold case is sitting in an impound lot. For Clarence's sister, Lisa, it's a spark of hope. For someone else, it's the beginning of the end. Randall Farrow isn't talking. Booked on charges of vehicle theft and false identification, he refuses to answer questions, sign forms, or name next of kin. He's a ghost in the system, a man with a minor rap sheet, trespassing, property damage, nothing heavy, and no active warrants. But a biometric scan confirms his identity, and the police start connecting dots. Randall isn't just some guy who stumbled across a missing man's truck. He's Reba Biddle's partner, living with her in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, for years. Reba, Clarence's wife, who collected a $60,000 life insurance payout after he disappeared. The coincidence is too stark to ignore. The Pennsylvania State Police are alerted, and the Susquehanna County Sheriff's Office dusts off Clarence's file. What seemed like a voluntary disappearance in 2012 is now looking like something far more sinister. The truck becomes the heart of the investigation. Forensic techs swarm the vehicle in a Scranton impound lot, peeling back layers of time. The gray paint is new, slapped over the original silver, but the VIN matches Clarence's records. The chassis shows signs of tampering. Serial numbers partially scratched out, a clumsy attempt to hide ownership. The odometer tells a story of its own. Low mileage, as if the truck's been driven sparingly, hidden away for years. Under the passenger seat, techs find a brown leather wallet, worn but intact. Inside, there's a faded union card from IBW. Local 1249, a crumpled photo of Clarence and Reba from 2009, and a gas receipt from Binghamton, New York, dated October 13, 2012, the day after Clarence left for his hunting trip. That receipt places the truck and likely Clarence 100 miles from the Poconos, nowhere near the game reserve he was supposedly headed to. It's the first physical link to Clarence since he vanished, and it raises a chilling question. What really happened that weekend? Back in Wilkes-Barre, Reba's life is unraveling. She's 46 now, living a quiet existence in her one-bedroom apartment, working as an administrative clerk. Randall's been her partner since 2015, a fixture in her life, sharing her address and her paperwork. But to her co-workers, Reba's always been an enigma. She's good at her job, meticulous but guarded. She never talks about Clarence except to say he's gone. Her colleagues don't push, they assume it's too painful, but the police are starting to see Reba in a new light. That $60,000 insurance payout in 2013, the quick sale of the Montrose house, the move to Wilkes-Barre, it all paints a picture of a woman who moved on fast. Too fast, maybe. And then there's the letter, the one postmarked from Buffalo in November 2012, supposedly from Clarence. I'm gone. I need peace. Don't look for me. Reba swore it was his handwriting, but Lisa never believed it. Now, with Randall caught in Clarence's truck, that letter feels like a lie. Lisa Biddle's heart has been heavy for 8 years. As a nurse in Scranton, she's used to staying calm under pressure, but losing her brother broke something in her. Clarence was her rock. Steady, kind. The guy who'd fix her car or crack a bad joke to make her laugh. The idea that he'd walk away without a word never sat right. She spent years calling the sheriff's office, filing requests, even hiring a private data firm in 2019 to track Clarence's truck. That search came up empty, but Lisa never stopped believing her brother was out there, or that someone knew what happened. When the police call her about the truck, it's like a dam breaking. Hope and dread flood in. She wants answers, but she's terrified of what they might be. The investigation shifts into high gear. In June 2020, police execute a search warrant on Reba's Wilkes-Barre apartment. What they find turns the case upside down. In a storage closet, there's a locked metal filing box, stuffed with financial records, insurance papers, and personal letters. Some letters addressed to Lisa were never sent. They talk about closure and moving forward, but never mention Clarence directly. Then, there's a stack of handwritten notes. Drafts, it seems, of something eerily familiar. One matches the Buffalo letter almost word for word. I'm gone. I need peace. Don't look for me. But this draft isn't postmarked from Buffalo. It has sorting stamps from Wilkes-Barre, and it's unfinished like a practice run. Another envelope bears a Luzerne County postmark. The police send the notes for handwriting and ink analysis, suspecting forgery. If Reba wrote these, the entire story of Clarence's voluntary departure collapses. Among the box's contents is a brass key labeled Shed. It's a small detail, but it sends investigators back to Montrose, to the house Reba and Clarence once shared. The new owners who bought the property in 2013 haven't touched the backyard shed. With their permission, police open it up. The shade is dusty, cluttered with old tools, but something catches their eye. A section of the back wall looks off. It's a false panel, loosely screwed in place. Behind it, there's a hidden cavity, big enough to hide a person, or a body. The floor is discolored, like something organic has seeped into the wood. Luminol tests light up with blood spatter on the walls, faint but undeniable. A single hair stuck to the floor is sent for DNA testing. The results come back. It's Clarence Biddle's. The blood, though degraded, tests human, with partial markers matching the Biddle family. This isn't a hunting accident. This is a crime scene. The shed discovery shifts the narrative. Clarence never made it to the Poconos, the police now believe. Something happened in that shed on October 12th, 2012, something violent. The Buffalo letter, the insurance payout, the truck's disappearance, it all feels like a cover-up. But who's behind it? Reba, who built a new life on her husband's absence. Randall, caught driving Clarence's truck? Or both? The police expand their search, combing the backyard for more clues. Near the fence, they find a shallow burial site, not a body, but a rusted metal box. Inside are Clarence's things: his 2013 hunting license, a pair of work boots, a broken wristwatch. These weren't reported missing by Reba. They were hidden, buried like a secret. Reba's past starts to look different through this lens. In 2012, she and Clarence were drowning in $28,000 of debt. Co-workers later recall Reba feeling trapped, confiding in one about waiting for a way out. She'd mentioned someone new in her life, though she didn't name Randall at the time. By 2018, Reba had refinanced a loan she'd co-signed with Clarence, submitting an affidavit claiming he was presumed dead. It was enough to close his accounts, erase his financial footprint. To the world, Clarence was a ghost. But to Lisa, he was a brother, a man whose memory she refused to let fade. Her persistence, her refusal to believe the official story, kept this case alive. Now with the shed, the truck, and those damning letters, the truth is clawing its way out. The police are building a case, but it's not enough yet. They need more than blood and buried boots to prove what happened. Reba and Randall haven't been charged, but they're under scrutiny. The Pennsylvania Attorney General's office reopens Clarence's file, coordinating with New York authorities. The question isn't just where Clarence is, it's what Reba and Randall did to him, and how they kept it hidden for 8 years. As the summer of 2020 unfolds, the investigation tightens around them, and the walls of their carefully constructed lie start to crumble. What does it take to bury a man's life? Not just his body, but his name, his memory, his truth. And what happens when that truth comes screaming back, refusing to stay buried? It's the summer of 2020 in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and the walls are closing in on Reba Biddle and Randall Farrow. For 8 years, they've lived free, building a life on the ashes of Clarence Biddle's disappearance. Reba, now 46, has her clerical job, her quiet apartment, her new name. Holtz, her maiden name, a shield against the past. Randall, her partner, has been by her side, sharing her home, her paperwork, her secrets. But the discovery of Clarence's 1999 Ford F-150 in May 2020, with Randall behind the wheel, has ripped their carefully woven lie apart. The truck, the shed, the forged letters, the buried boots. They're not just clues. They're accusations, pointing to a crime so cold it chills the soul. Clarence Biddle didn't vanish on a hunting trip. He was erased. And now, the truth is clawing its way out of the grave. The Pennsylvania State Police and Susquehanna County prosecutors are relentless. On June 4, 2020, arrest warrants are issued. Reba is charged with conspiracy to commit murder, insurance fraud, and destruction of evidence. Randall faces charges of tampering with evidence, obstruction of justice, and unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. They're taken into custody without a fight, arraigned in Luzerne County Court. Reba's bail is denied, flight risk, the judge says, citing the calculated nature of her actions. Randall's held on a $150,000 bond. Neither speaks, neither pleads. They sit in silence, but the evidence screams. Blood in the shed, Clarence's DNA, a forged letter, a buried box of his belongings. It's a house of cards and it's collapsing. The trial begins in January 2021, 8 years and 3 months after Clarence vanished. Luzerne County Court is packed, the air thick with tension. Reba and Randall sit apart, each with their own lawyer, their faces unreadable. Assistant District Attorney Rachel Morrow leads the prosecution, her voice sharp and unyielding. This was not a disappearance, she declares in her opening statement. This was a staged erasure. A man's life was ended and a lie was built to profit from his absence. The case rests on 4 pillars: the forged Buffalo letter, the shed's forensic evidence, the timeline's discrepancies, and Randall's possession of Clarence's truck. But the real story is uglier. A tale of betrayal so deep it feels like a horror movie come to life. The prosecution paints a damning picture. On October 12, 2012, they argue, Reba lured Clarence into the backyard shed under the pretense of helping with his hunting gear. What happened next was violent. Blunt trauma, the forensic analyst testifies, based on medium-velocity blood spatter in the shed. Luminol reveals cleanup attempts, smears of blood wiped away but not erased. A single hair, Clarence's, ties him to the scene. The blood, degraded but human, matches the Biddle family's markers. The prosecution can't say exactly how Clarence died, no body, no weapon, but the shed tells a story of a struggle, a cover-up, a death, and the motive? Money and escape. The Biddles were $28,000 in debt, drowning in bills. Reba, a co-worker, testifies, felt trapped, confiding she was waiting for a way out, weeks before Clarence vanished. That way out was Randall, a man she'd already started seeing. The Buffalo letter is the prosecution's smoking gun. A handwriting expert confirms the 2012 note, supposedly from Clarence, matches drafts found in Reba's apartment, drafts written in her hand, with ink, from pens she ordered at work. One draft, unfinished, bears Wilkes-Barre postmarks, not Buffalo's. It's a forgery, the expert says, a lie to make Clarence's disappearance seem voluntary. The jury sees side-by-side comparisons. The words, "I'm gone, I need peace, don't look for me," staring back like a confession. Reba's defense fights back, claiming there's no proof of murder. No body, no cause of death. They argue Clarence left on his own, and Reba's notes were her way of coping, not scheming. But the jury's eyes are on those letters, and they're not buying it. Randall's role is murkier. His lawyer paints him as a bystander, a man who didn't know the truck's history when he drove it, but the prosecution isn't letting him off. Randall lived with Reba, shared her life, her lies. He drove Clarence's truck, its serial numbers scratched, its plates swapped with a dead relative's. He stayed silent when arrested, hiding behind a fake name. The prosecution argues he's complicit, a partner in the cover-up if not the crime itself. Randall doesn't testify, his face a mask throughout the trial. Reba's defense leans on her grief, her quiet life. But the evidence is a tidal wave. Buried boots, a hidden shed compartment, a $60,000 payout. It's too much to explain away. The trial lasts 3 weeks, every detail dissected. Witnesses recount Reba's distance, her quick move to Wilkes-Barre, her new life with Randall. Lisa Biddle takes the stand, her voice breaking as she talks about her brother. Clarence would never leave us, she says, tears in her eyes. Someone took him. Her testimony hits hard, a reminder of the human cost. The jury deliberates for 6 hours, a tense wait that feels like years. On March 12, 2021, they return with verdicts, guilty. Reba is convicted of conspiracy to commit murder, insurance fraud, and obstruction. Randall is found guilty of being an accessory to fraud and tampering with evidence. The courtroom is silent, the weight of justice settling in. Sentencing comes. On April 14, 2021, Judge Celia Horton doesn't hold back. Reba gets 25 years, no parole for 17, for the premeditated moral coldness of her actions. Randall receives 14 years for his role in the cover-up. The judge calls it a deliberate concealment, a betrayal of trust and truth. No murder, charges filed, Without Clarence's body, it's legally impossible. But the conspiracy conviction carries the weight of guilt. Outside the courthouse, Lisa speaks to reporters, her voice steady now. They told the world he walked away. Now the truth has walked back in. Her words echo, a eulogy for a brother still lost. Clarence is declared legally dead in June 2021, a court order closing his financial and legal affairs. A private memorial in Montrose draws family, co-workers, and union members. Lisa gives a eulogy, simple but piercing. They buried the truth for 8 years, but now he gets his name back. Part of the recovered insurance money funds a trade school scholarship in Clarence's name, a small light in the darkness. Reba is incarcerated at SCI Muncie, Randall at SCI Benner Township. They're forbidden from contacting each other, their lives now locked behind bars. But the horror lingers. Clarence's body is still out there, somewhere unrecovered. Searches continue, official and private, but no grave is found. The 1999 Ford F-150 sits in a Scranton evidence lot, repainted, weathered, a silent witness to a crime. Without that truck, the case might have stayed cold. It's the artifact that broke the lie, the key to a truth so ugly it feels like a nightmare. Reba and Randall thought they'd buried Clarence's story, but stories like his don't stay buried. They claw back, demanding to be heard, demanding justice. This is the end of Clarence Biddle's story, or as close as we'll get without his remains. A man erased, a lie exposed, a family's pain laid bare. The truth is a heavy thing, sharp, and unforgiving, and in Montrose it's finally free. But at night when the wind howls through the Poconos, you can't help but wonder, where is Clarence? And what secrets are still hiding in the shadows? Well, have you ever heard of a case like this? Comment your thoughts. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.